My name is Ron Reed. I'm a public defender in Butte County. On September 27th of this year, we interviewed several people that went to prison for life imprisonment for crimes they committed at a very early age. They asked to share their story with young people throughout the community in the hopes that their story would change the stories of some young people that might be headed toward trouble. They freely talked to us about their crimes and about what happened in their life, how they turned their life around, and how going to prison is something that anyone would want to avoid. And they hope that maybe what they have to say will have some value to young teenagers in our county.
My name's Edward Hernandez. I was a successful amateur boxer. I had a good education. I went to prison at 20 years old. At the age of 19, I got in a conflict with a childhood friend that I knew, and I shot him 5 times. And they were pretty much all fatal shots. I shot him twice in the chest and 3 times in the back as he tried to leave. I got found guilty of second-degree murder, which carried 15 to life, plus 2 years for the gun enhancement, and it was a 17 to life sentence, and I did 25 years.
Oh, my name is Thor Vane, and right now I'm 42 years old. I've been incarcerated at the age of 22.
Okay, my name is Michael Tahir Prather. I was 23 when I entered prison in 1983. I did 28 years. I paroled from Avenal State Prison. As far as gang affiliation, yes, I was involved upon going into prison. But in the process of being in there, I realized that I deserved better for myself in life, so I got up out of the gangs along the way.
My name is John Burnite. I got incarcerated in 1989. I was a teenager. I had spent 25 years in prison. I was never in a gang. I came from a middle-class family, and it was a very dysfunctional family setting, and there was a lot of causative factors that led me up to what I did as far as committing my crime. So I was never involved with any gang affiliations or anything in that, anything that had anything to do with that.
My name is David Sloan. I also was incarcerated in 1989. I didn't progress to the level of murder until I was 31, but my antisocial mindset started at a very early age and progressed throughout. I served 23 and a half years. I've been out about a year and a half now, and happy to be here.
My name is Emmett Fott, and I was incarcerated at the age of 24 in county jail. I turned 25 and spent the next 23 and a half years in California State Prison. I was paroled in January 2012.
I spent 25 years in, and I spent a lot of it because of the gangs, because of the mentality that I still had. You know, like when I was young, I could only see right in front of me. I couldn't see the rippling effect of any of my actions had. Now I have old friends that were in the gangs too, that they grew out of it. You know, they didn't lock it up, they didn't tell on nobody, they just grew up, they got married, they had kids, they're living normal lives. You know, they take their shirt off, they got more tattoos than I do, you know, but they're normal, productive people in society because they realize that the negative rippling effect is so devastating to yourself, to your community, to your family, that people that you really love, that really do love you, I should say, are going to hurt because of your actions. So the people that you're trying to please, they're going to forget about you and move on. But if you have children, you're ruining your relationships with your children. I came home and I have 3 grown men sons. How do you tell a 25-year-old, hey, dad's home, you know, let's go play ball, you know, you want to talk about the birds and bees, son? No, they're already grown men with their own lives, their own children. And that was kind of like really hard for me, was the emotional part.
I got involved in a gang called MOD, and You know, at the time I thought that, or at the time I believed, for me to join the gang is for us to assist each other and protect each other from being bullied at school and off school. That's what I believed at first. But it turned out that, you know, being a gang, you know, we do things as every other street gangs do, like the Bloods, the Crips, the Hispanics, you know, commit crime, selling drugs, got violent. One thing led to another, you know, getting locked up back and forth. And it didn't stop for me, you know, until, you know, I caught a murder case and went to prison. My wife divorced me. End up, you know, doing time by myself. And you know how people say they don't regret nothing? Well, I regret everything. But by me regretting everything, it's not going to change nothing. So what I do is I learn from my past experience of what gang does. You know, it destroyed people. It destroyed my family, my ex-wife, my kids, in my life.
Well, just briefly, I would say that the system is set up to remove us if we do things that is unbecoming, that is not acceptable in the system. And they have a right for us to be removed. That's why I was removed for the crime that I committed. And it took me a while to, you know, come to terms with that you couldn't do things that was unbecoming and be accepted in society. So for any young kid, I would say, you know, pay attention to the signs that's given to you along the way, because there are signs. If you're sitting in juvenile hall, that's a sign for you to know that you headed on the wrong way, and try to, you know, work on getting it right before you end up where I ended up doing like 28 years, because it's not a pretty place to be.
If I had anything to tell the teenagers of today, they need to be able to practice humility. They need to be able to ask for help, because when I got to prison, I was still kind of in the infancy of trying to figure out who I was. So when I got into some self-help, like the 12-step programs, that allowed me to practice some of the principles. And one of the biggest things was forgiveness and tolerance. I was not a forgiving person. I had to learn to forgive people and practice tolerance, to relinquish resentments against my own family members, against my friends, and against myself. I had to forgive myself. So that being said, also getting back to humility, I needed to learn to ask for help. For me, that was a big deal. And if I had any advice to give to a teenager, if you feel the way that I felt as a teenager, ask for help. And that's what I have to say about that.
I like what John had to say and the points that he touched on. I know in my case, and in almost every case of lifers that have done time in prison, we all have a history that has damaged our life from a young boy up sometimes. My history started at the age of 2 when my mother and father divorced, and these things that happened in my life were things that I was unable to deal with. And I also had this belief that I was a man and I had to take care of my own problems. You said, John, you said to ask for help, and we need help. A man knows how to stand up and ask for help. And another thing that I want to point out is that as a juvenile, there's a lot of people that are willing to help you right now. When you cross that line of being 18, all that disappears. There's no help for you anymore. All there is incarceration, and it's an ugly place. It's a miserable, horrible place. They remove you from anyone that cares anything about you, and they try to teach you a way to live that goes against society. It's an antisocial system, and it's not happy.
And for a lot of the young juveniles that's inside, I would say to them, like Dave just said, just know that you're not only hurting yourself by your actions, your family is also suffering. If you have a mother, a father, a grandmother, a guardian, whoever that love you, know that they're going through some tremendous pain because they want better for you and they expect better for you. So don't just think you're just hurting yourself by your negative actions. Understand if you really love them, that you need to make some changes to show them that you love them instead of doing things that's hurting them and you know, could make their health bad.